Anger feels powerful. It feels sharp, fast, and commanding. In the moment, it convinces you that you are strong, that you are standing your ground, protecting yourself, defending your value. But this is an illusion. Anger is not strength. Anger is not confidence. Anger is the moment you lose control and mistake noise for power. When anger appears, something outside of you has already entered your inner world. A word spoken carelessly, a look filled with judgment, a memory you thought you had buried. The moment your emotional state depends on something external, you are no longer free. This is the core teaching of Shaolin discipline. If another person can control your emotions, they control your life. Most people do not realize this. They believe anger proves that they care. They believe anger shows boundaries. They believe anger earns respect. But look closely. When you are angry, your breath becomes shallow. Your body tightens. Your thoughts narrow. Your vision collapses into one emotional tunnel. This is not power. This is contraction. True power expands. It creates space. It remains calm under pressure. A warrior who cannot control his emotions will always be defeated, not by enemies, but by himself. The strongest people you will ever meet are not reactive. They are not loud. They do not rush to prove anything. They are still. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is command. When you remain calm while others lose control, you gain something priceless: clarity. And clarity allows you to choose your response instead of being dragged by impulse. Today, this training begins with awareness, not suppression, not denial, but understanding. Because the goal is not to fight anger. The goal is to become so grounded that anger has nowhere to land. Anger is never the real problem. It is only the surface. Like smoke rising from a fire, anger points to something burning underneath. If you only try to control the smoke, the fire continues to grow unseen. To master anger, you must look beneath it. Every outburst, every irritation, every trigger carries the same message. Something inside you feels threatened. It may be subtle, it may be old, but it is always there. Behind anger, you will often find fear of being disrespected, fear of losing control, fear of being ignored or diminished, fear of not being enough. Anger is the ego's alarm system. When the image you have of yourself is challenged, the ego reacts violently, not to protect truth, but to protect identity. You are not angry because of what happened. You are angry because of what you believe it says about you. A comment feels like an attack because it touches insecurity. A disagreement feels like betrayal because it threatens belonging. A mistake feels unbearable because it threatens self-worth. This is why two people can experience the same situation and only one becomes angry. The event is neutral. The meaning is personal. Shaolin philosophy teaches this with brutal honesty. If something controls your emotional state, you are attached to it. Attachment creates vulnerability. Vulnerability creates reaction. Reaction creates suffering. This does not mean you become emotionless. It means you become aware. When you see anger as a signal rather than a command, everything changes. You stop asking, "Who made me angry?" and you start asking, "What inside me is being touched?" This question requires courage, because the answer is never comfortable. But the moment you recognize the root, anger loses its authority. It is no longer an enemy, it becomes a teacher. And what you understand no longer controls you.
Being easily triggered is not a personality trait. It is a sign of unfinished inner work. A trigger is not created in the present moment, it is activated. When someone's words feel sharper than they should, When a small situation creates a large emotional reaction, you are not responding to what is happening now. You are responding to something unresolved within you. Triggers are emotional scars that have not healed. They are places where your sense of identity is still fragile, where approval still matters, where validation still controls you, where your self-worth is still conditional. This is why discipline begins with honesty. Ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? Why does this specific tone, this specific behavior, this specific type of person disturb my inner peace? People who are grounded do not get triggered easily, not because life is gentle with them, but because they are no longer internally unstable. A strong mind does not mean nothing affects you. It means nothing owns you. Most triggers come from three attachments: the need to be respected, the need to be in control, the need to be seen a certain way. When any of these are threatened, the ego reacts immediately. Anger rises to defend an image, not reality, an image. Shaolin training is designed to dismantle this sensitivity, not by numbing emotion, but by removing dependency. The less you depend on how others behave, the less power they have over you. Triggers disappear when the ego is no longer in charge. This is why true inner strength feels calm, not aggressive, stable, not defensive, silent, not reactive. If something can provoke you easily, it means it still controls you. And discipline is the process of taking that control back, slowly, deliberately, permanently. Most people do not want to let go of anger. They protect it. They label it righteous. They call it standing up for myself. They convince themselves it is necessary. But anger does not need to be justified to be destructive. In fact, the most dangerous anger is the kind that feels justified. Because once you believe your anger is right, you stop questioning it. You stop observing it. You surrender to it. Ask yourself honestly, has anger ever made you wiser? Has it improved your decisions? Has it created long-term respect? Anger feels powerful because it gives immediate emotional release. It feels like action. It feels like control. But look at the cost. Anger narrows perception. It reduces complexity. It forces reality into a simple narrative. I am right. They are wrong. This is not clarity. This is blindness. A disciplined mind does not seek emotional relief. It seeks effectiveness. Shaolin philosophy does not ask, do I have the right to be angry? It asks, does this reaction serve my long-term purpose? Anger almost never does. It damages relationships. It weakens judgment. It trains your nervous system to react faster next time. Each angry reaction makes the next one easier. This is how people become trapped in emotional patterns they believe they control, but are actually controlled by. True strength is not expressed through reaction, it is expressed through restraint. Restraint is not suppression, it is choice. When you refuse to react impulsively, you do not lose power, you reclaim it. Because the person who can stay calm in emotional chaos is the one who dictates the outcome. Justified anger is still anger, and anger, no matter how well defended, always takes more than it gives.
Emotion does not begin in the mind. It begins in the body. Before a single angry thought appears, your physiology has already changed. Your breath shortens, your shoulders rise, your jaw tightens, your heart accelerates. Most people try to control anger with logic, but logic arrives too late. Once emotion has taken over the body, the mind becomes its servant. This is why Shaolin training starts with the body, not to build aggression, but to build awareness. The body is the gateway to emotional mastery. When you learn to recognize physical tension early, you intercept anger before it becomes thought. Slow breathing is not relaxation, it is regulation. A deep, controlled breath sends a signal to the nervous system. There is no threat. When the breath stabilizes, the heart rate follows. When the heart rate calms, the mind regains clarity. This is not theory, this is physiology. A warrior who ignores his body will always lose to his emotions. A disciplined practitioner listens to every signal. Ground your stance, relax your shoulders, soften your face. These small adjustments are acts of command. Stillness is not absence of action, it is precise action. When the body remains calm under pressure, anger has no structure to build upon. This is why those who train daily appear unshakable, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel early. And what you feel early, you can control. Between stimulus and response, there is a moment. Most people never experience it. They react instantly and only realize what happened afterward. This moment is the pause. The pause is where discipline lives. The pause is where freedom exists. Without a pause, you are predictable, and anything predictable can be controlled. Anger thrives in speed. The faster the reaction, the weaker the mind. This is why slowing down feels uncomfortable at first. You are interrupting a habit. 1 breath, 2 breaths, silence. In that brief space, something powerful happens. You regain authorship. You are no longer a reaction. You become a decision maker. Shaolin masters train the pause relentlessly, not only in meditation, but in conflict, fatigue, and pressure. The pause is not hesitation, it is assessment. It allows you to ask, is this worth my energy? Is this aligned with who I choose to be? Is this reaction necessary? A person without a pause is ruled by impulse. A person with a pause commands outcome. Most regrets are not caused by bad intentions, but by reactions that came too fast. When you train yourself to pause, you create a gap between emotion and action, and in that gap, anger loses its authority. Silence is often the highest form of control. The one who can remain still while others rush holds the advantage, because power does not live in reaction, it lives in restraint.
Most suffering is not caused by what happens, but by the story you tell yourself about what happens. The ego is a storyteller. It creates meaning instantly. It labels events as attacks, disrespect, or injustice. He crossed the line. She disrespected me. I can't let this go. But look carefully. Who is this me that feels attacked? The ego survives by identification. When you identify with every thought and emotion, they gain authority over you. Anger feels personal because the ego makes it personal. Shaolin discipline teaches a different position. You are not the emotion. You are the observer of the emotion. The moment you step back and observe anger, it weakens. Observation creates distance. Distance creates choice. This is not emotional coldness. This is emotional intelligence. When you detach from the ego narrative, you stop reacting to imagined threats. Not every disagreement is an attack. Not every comment is disrespect. Not every challenge requires defense. The ego demands reaction to maintain importance. Silence threatens it. When you stop feeding the narrative, anger starves. Ask yourself, is this about reality or about how I want to be seen? A disciplined mind does not rush to defend an image. It focuses on truth and direction. The more you identify with who you are becoming, the less you react to temporary emotions. Ego fades when purpose grows. And when ego fades, triggers lose their grip.
Most conflicts escalate for one reason. Someone feels the need to respond immediately. Words are fired without reflection, tone sharpens, positions harden, and what could have ended in clarity turns into emotional warfare. Silence breaks this cycle. Silence is not avoidance, it is strategic restraint. When you do not react, you disrupt expectation. The undisciplined mind expects resistance. When it meets silence, it becomes exposed. Silence creates imbalance, and imbalance reveals truth. In Shaolin philosophy, silence is a form of strength. It protects energy, it maintains dignity, it preserves clarity. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every provocation requires engagement. When you respond to everything, you give everything power over you. Silence allows you to observe instead of participate, to see intention instead of emotion, to recognize patterns instead of arguments. The calm presence unsettles those who seek reaction because they lose control when you refuse to play. Silence does not mean you accept disrespect. It means you choose the timing and form of your response. Powerful people speak less, but when they do, it matters. The quiet mind always has the advantage, because those who shout reveal weakness. Those who remain calm reveal mastery. Silence is not empty, it is loaded, and used correctly, it ends conflict before it begins.
Anger offers something very tempting: immediate relief. In the moment, it feels like release, like pressure leaving the system, like reclaiming control. But this relief is short-lived. What anger gives quickly, it takes back with interest. After the reaction fades, something remains: regret, shame, damaged trust, weakened self-respect. This is the hidden cost most people ignore. Short-term relief trains long-term weakness. Each time you react emotionally, you reinforce the habit. Your nervous system learns speed instead of control. Your mind learns justification instead of discipline. And over time, anger arrives faster, with less resistance. Shaolin discipline teaches patience not as morality, but as strategy. A warrior who chooses long-term power does not ask, "What feels good right now?" He asks, "What strengthens me tomorrow?" One moment of restraint can preserve years of progress. One emotional outburst can undo it. This is why mastery is often invisible. No applause, no dramatic release, just quiet consistency. Long-term power is built by choosing discomfort now over regret later. It means swallowing the urge to react, holding silence when ego demands expression, letting the moment pass without needing to win it. Victory over anger rarely looks heroic, but it builds something far more valuable than pride: self-trust. And once you trust yourself, no situation feels threatening. You cannot expect control in chaos if you do not practice control in calm. Most people wait for anger to appear before they decide to manage it. By then, it is already too late. Discipline is not reactive, it is cultivated. Shaolin training is not built in moments of conflict, but in daily repetition. Morning stillness, breath awareness, physical grounding, mental restraint. These practices seem small, but they rewire the nervous system. When calm becomes familiar, anger feels foreign. Training daily teaches the body how to respond before the mind needs to decide. This is why disciplined people appear composed under pressure, not because they are special, but because they are prepared. Emotional mastery is not a decision, it is a condition. You create it through repetition, not intention. If you only practice calm when you are angry, you are training chaos. But when you practice stillness every day, calm becomes your default state, and default states decide outcomes. Train your breath when nothing is wrong. Train your posture when you are relaxed. Train your awareness when life is quiet. So when pressure arrives, you do not rise to the occasion, you fall back to your training. This is the Shaolin way. Consistency over intensity, discipline over emotion, preparation over reaction.
Every time you lose control of your emotions, something subtle but important is damaged. It is not the situation, it is not the relationship, it is your self-respect. Self-respect is not built through dominance or loudness, it is built through consistency. When you react impulsively, you abandon yourself. You hand over authority to impulse, habit, and external influence. But when you remain calm under pressure, you send a clear message inward. I am in charge. Not my anger, not my past, not another person's behavior. This is the foundation of emotional mastery. The strongest individuals are not those who control others, but those who refuse to be controlled by their own impulses. Every restrained reaction strengthens trust within yourself. Every calm decision reinforces identity. Over time, this trust compounds. You begin to move with certainty. You speak with intention. You act without needing validation. This is why emotional mastery changes how people treat you, not because you demand respect, but because you embody it. Calm authority is felt immediately. It does not need explanation. Shaolin discipline teaches that self-respect is not claimed, it is demonstrated, quietly, repeatedly, without performance. When your emotions obey you, your life aligns with you. Anger is not destiny. Triggers are not permanent. Reaction is not mandatory. These are habits, and habits can be retrained. When you learn to observe instead of react, to breathe instead of explode, to pause instead of defend, your entire life shifts. Clarity replaces chaos, direction replaces confusion, choice replaces impulse. This is not emotional suppression, this is emotional sovereignty. You do not become numb, you become precise. You still feel, but you decide what deserves your energy. When emotions are mastered, decisions improve, relationships stabilize, purpose becomes visible. This is why control of emotion is control of life. No one can provoke you into self-destruction. No one can pull you off your path. You move through conflict with dignity, through pressure with presence, through challenge with calm strength. This is the Shaolin way. Not domination, not aggression, but inner command. Control your emotions, and the world loses its power over you. Control your emotions, and you regain ownership of your life.